I am Daniel Dazi, and in our first story, the Ministry of Information has confirmed ECG has begun steps to terminate contract with power distribution services. Sector Minister Kojo Opon-Nkrumah, speaking at a news conference earlier, noted despite the position of the Millennium Challenge Corporation, government has taken a decision in the best interest of the country.
Suspected to meet a material and fundamental term of the concession agreement, which was to deliver and maintain valid payment securities for the transfer of assets. On the American side, though the insurers have indicated that they do not intend to stand by the purported guarantees, the view is that a termination is unwarranted and a restructuring will be more tolerable. As we have mentioned, the two sides were not able to agree on a common path to resolve this point. The government of Ghana, consequently, from 9:30 a.m. today, is commencing the process to terminate. The necessary documentations are being filed with PDS and the Energy Commission. It is expected that residual matters between ECG and PDS will be resolved with dispatch. ECG has remained in possession of assets, while PDS has been assisting it with some limited services in the period during which the concession was suspended prior to this termination. The government of Ghana and the U.S. government will continue to work together on other development cooperation projects. This, for the avoidance of doubt, has not been a crisis of confidence. It has been a difference in opinion, which we have mutually agreed to respect. Now, government hereby also addresses a number of issues that have been raised during this intervening period. First, could this failure to deliver and maintain valid securities have been discovered earlier? The view of the government is that, to the extent that the actual documentation to bring the concession agreement to a close will end in September, including the conditions subsequent, anything that was transpiring up to that September timeline, which second, has the government been negligent in this transaction? Never. The government of Ghana has at all times worked with MCC in structuring this transaction in the best interest of Ghanaians. No effort to get Ghana a good deal has been spared. Third, is it true that the transaction was botched by some machinations of government? Government has not been up to any machinations. The intent has been to ensure efficiency in the ECG turnaround program and the fulfillment of the broader compact all along. Was there something wrong with switching from 80-20 to 49-51? Absolutely not. The government holds the view that in transactions of this nature, Ghana and Ghanaians should be given an opportunity to get a deep end of the stick as much as is possible.
Now, the Deputy Energy Minister, William Oreku-Edu, has been outlining the steps government will be taking to terminate the PDS contract and return the control of the power distribution in the southern sector of Ghana to ECG. Speaking to Kojo Yankson on the sidelines of a press conference held on the matter at the Information Ministry this morning, the Deputy Minister said the process will be triggered by a letter from ECG to the Energy Commission to cancel the PDS license.
As the Minister alluded to, ECG is writing to the Energy Commission, informing it of the termination of the agreement between itself, ECG, and PDS as the concession. And this will trigger the EC, because if there is no concession agreement, there cannot be a license for the PDS to operate. As you know, the sales and retail of energy license has already been suspended, and PDS, up until 9:30 this morning, was still in possession of the distribution of energy distribution license. That one will today be terminated by the Energy Commission as the law demands. ECG when all these things have been effected, will assume full control of the assets, which hitherto has been in possession of PDS. One may ask, what happens to the workers of ECG, PDS? The assertion is that once there was no transfer, if the demand guarantee was not in place as of March, 1st of March, then it necessarily means that there was no transfer of workers. So the workers still remain the workers of ECG, and then ECG will be meeting the unions and the general workers' body today to explain to them exactly what has happened.
Still on the story, the Electricity Company of Ghana has announced it has taken full control of power distribution as it terminates its contract with Power Distribution Services (PDS). Consequently, all activities which were hitherto undertaken by PDS have reverted to ECG. In the statement announcing the takeover, ECG said all stakeholders and customers should therefore engage it in their normal business activities and not the PDS. Here are excerpts of the statement. As you can see on your screen, the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited, ECG, has today, 23rd October 2019, terminated the private sector participation transaction agreement with Power Distribution Services Ghana Limited, PDS. It goes on to say, ECG has therefore assumed full operational and financial control of the electricity distribution business in the southern zone of Ghana with immediate effect. It says, consequently, all activities which were hitherto undertaken by PDS have reverted to ECG. All stakeholders and customers should therefore engage ECG in their normal business activities, which include but are not limited to the following: metering, billing, distribution of bills, revenue collection, new service connection, disconnections and reconnections, faulty meter replacements, network faults and repairs, network operations, maintenance, expansion and rehabilitation, services. Now, accordingly, all checks issued in respect of power purchases and other related activities should be in the sole name of Electricity Company of Ghana. Now, the U.S. has responded to Ghana government's decision to terminate the power concession agreement with Power Distribution Services. In a statement, the U.S. said it notes this decision with regret. And let's go to that statement now. We'll go to the second paragraph where it says that the United States of America notes this decision with regret. Based upon the conclusion of the independent forensic investigation, the U.S. position is that the transfer of operations, maintenance, and management of the Southern Distribution Network to the private concessionaire on March 1, 2019 was valid, and therefore the termination is unwarranted. As such, the MCC has confirmed that the $190 million funds granted to Ghana at the March 1 transfer to the 20-year concessionaire from ECG to PDS are no longer available. The United States underscores the importance of contract sanctity as essential to a conducive investment climate and precondition for inclusive economic growth. Now, away from the PDS, but still in the power sector, the Bui Power Authority BPA has commenced controlled spillage of excess water from the Bui Reservoir. The authority said the spillage has become necessary due to pressure brought on as a result of continuous rainfall. Corporate Affairs Manager Cherie Lawson said the level of water had reached 182.81 meters, short the safe level of 183 meters above sea level, and any delay would compromise the integrity of the dam.
If we didn't do the spillage today, it will be destroying the dam. The dam will not be able to hold that amount of water that has piled up behind the dam. the reservoir can hold up to 183. And that's at 6 a.m. I've told you it was 182.81. So if we hadn't spilled today, tomorrow we would have crossed the 183 mark, and that would have been disaster. So we don't want anything to happen to our dam. We are considering the inflow. We are monitoring the rains, the inflows upstream into the reservoir. As soon as we are comfortable with the level that it reaches, we will stop the spillage. Our first press release said between 1 to 10 days. We are monitoring, and so we will stop where we think it is comfortable for the dam to hold.
Said adequate measures have been put in place to ensure that life and property are protected during and after the spillage. Correspondent Precious Semevo was at the spillage gates and joins us live with more. Precious, what can you report from where you are? Precious, if you can hear me, what can you report from where you are? Right, Precious Semevo is our man in that part of the country, and he joins us with updates, particularly concerning the people who are affected by this spillage. Remember, the PWUALUGU Authority has decided to spill its dams because the water levels in the dam are reaching alarming high levels. Now, of course, the water reservoir has a limit of 183 meters above sea level. At the moment, well, this morning, it had crossed 182.1 meters above sea level. Now, Precious Semevo was there when the dam was being spilled. We just spoke to Sherry Lawson, who speaks for the PWUALUGU Authority. Let's get back on the phone lines and speak to Precious. Precious, if you can hear me, what's the situation there now? We'll go back to Precious Semevo later in the bulletin, but for now, 3 families of the 4 missing TAKORADI girls declared dead by the Ghana Police Service at a visit the Inspector General of Police at the police headquarters on Thursday. The purpose of the visit is to demand the remains of their daughters retrieved in a septic tank around the residence of the prime suspect Samuel Udotek Wills. The families of Priscilla Bentum, Ruth Abaka and Ruth Love Quason, speaking exclusively to JoyNews ahead of their visit to the IGP tomorrow, insist on their conviction that those bones retrieved are not those of their daughters, and will still push for an independent DNA test to confirm their doubts. Family of Ruth Love Quason, father of Ruth Love Quason, Riz Quason, who has returned to Ghana from the United Kingdom following the case, tells our Western Regional correspondent in Natalia Kwanzaa that nothing will persuade him to accept the result of the DNA test conducted by the police.
Yeah, actually, I heard everything that there are 3 kidnapped girls, and one of them is my daughter. I try to do whatever I can do, but unfortunately, I was not able to come back because I was living in Europe. Yeah, and for some time later, I heard, I saw it on the television that the CID boss, that's a Gloria Tiwa, yeah, that's all I can say. Yeah, he came on the television to give us a full confidence that we have seen the children, and he hoped very soon they will cooperate with the family and all this and this and this and this. But you see, as a matter of fact, when you listen to the lady, that is CID boss, everything proved that he knows where the children are, and she has seen them. So people were just asking, why is that it has been keeping long or something like that, that since then the children hasn't come back. I say, and I believe that through the pressure or something like that, or the demand from that kidnappers, yeah, it's too huge or high for them. So she later came back that he was just saying something to listen, to console the the family. Yeah, but it's not true. He hasn't said it. But the intelligence and even those who are so perfect or something like that in this issue, when they listened to the lady, they had a full confidence that the lady knows where the children are. Even I myself, I'm not fully educated, but through her speech, I found out that yeah, this woman is speaking the truth. Because without seeing them, you cannot come to the radio or the television for the whole world to see you that you are doing you are saying something like that.
Still live on Joy News today with me, Daniel Daze. Now, father of Priscilla Bintum, the second missing girl, Francis Bintum, says they are considering a plan to raise funds to enable them conduct another DNA test to prove that their daughters are alive.
The assemblage assassin, my police for yan shassino. It should be bear, would do no. Or he watch a chain inside with the Guiachi. The same time, I mean there. I want to watch the Wokum Pewo, Tankum. I had a bat and the bell and far, new will be seen there. Or do be about a Kayan testing. When you can say I'm a policeman paying for Belman, because say you to Manumun Shepi, wine in Dido. My uncle was a test, walker test near we are. Besinde yenye result de wadano no bekai nti ansa abata no ade na bekai na nyanja ntum de za wal kan de kwal nti anya abata no apolice so me ya we de so odu ho na sa anya ye pendo mpa yo boda de nti sa di ye lokọ yanwa kan ya wa hye de 24 de yam 24 Thursday 24 de ye lokọ na yakagi ye ndompe na ya ja ho angasa mo report na unye na obeka chen de mbofuma de wugun na ansa abata no ya ba ne abohum na za ada an se ye no ya ye ndompe no hu anti de kwaka gi ndompe odu bebi no apos fu me yete de batan kwan wa ja atum de an ne belu wewu nta no e nankasa nsusu bata anhene ba asa no batan bi an ka de ne belu ewu no onji ntum no dem na oda an se ba asa no ye kan hu bum na yihu za no mo ye botu because anya apos fu aka chen de yaba wo de ndompe mehen na ma hara ade ye ne ya ye ntintin ye kwaka je ndompe na ye bo ye to e de ganafo sisi ya apira kudu sisi ala yiska nso nti wombo he na me ye sure de amafo bobo he nti butumi ya ye.
That was the father of Priscilla Bintum, Francis Bintum, taking us through the activities or the events that led to the police demanding for DNA samples from the family to carry out these tests. He says they have a good reason to doubt the results which were announced by the IGP because, first of all, they have not been shown any certified results and also they did not see the remains. He is appealing to the public to support so that they raise funds to carry out independent tests on these DNA samples to confirm their doubt that these bodies indeed, or these remains indeed belong to their daughters. We now cross over to Parliament, where the majority leader has been speaking to my colleague Parker Wilson about the PDS saga. Sorry, that's the minority leader. So Parker Wilson joins me on the line. Parker, what has Mr. Haruna Idrisu been telling you?
Right, so Daniel, I had a quick conversation with him this morning, and clearly he's not enthused about the action government has taken. He believes it's not enough, even though government says it has terminated the contract with PDS. For him, he accused government of actually causing financial loss to the state because of how reckless, and these were the words he used, how reckless government has handled this PDS deal, and as we want all the actors involved in the fraud prosecuted. So these were his preliminary comments, and he made the point that the minority will issue an official statement and react to government press conference. This is the point.
Thank you very much, Parker Wilson. What should we be expecting in Parliament today?
Well, so on the floor of the House, the Deputy Majority Leader, Honorable Adra Safo, raised the concern about breast cancer and the fact that we need to intensify the awareness. And she made a statement on the floor, and members of Parliament have been contributing to the discussion, and some are making the point that the government, I mean, the National Health Insurance should also cater for breast cancer treatment, because almost all the people who are suffering from breast cancer do not have the financial muscle to, go to the hospital and then get some medical attention.
Thank you very much, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, for joining us today. He joins us from Parliament. Now, troubled gold dealership firm Men's Gold has released a statement on its payment plan of locked-up investment. That statement you find on your screens as part of our efforts to finally discharge our financial obligations to our cherished customers. We have tabled the following schedule to commence the process of validation in order to settle all verified claims of our customers. Customers are to take note of the following. 1. Validation of documentation starts from 28th October to 29th November 2019. Time 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each working day. Designation outlets for this exercise are as follows. Venue Osu, opposite Osu Police Station, behind Glory Oil Filling Station. Dansuman, after Dansuman roundabout, Bechen bus stop. Odoko, Mile 7, Madina, Awoshi. That's in the Greater Accra region. We're going to skip down to the Central region. Central region is in Kaswa. Western region is in Bogoso. Finally, it ends by saying all customers are expected to visit any of their respective outlets within the hours of 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. each working day and submit photocopies of their gold trading agreement, receipt of gold traded purchase, gold trading commission receipt, valid national ID copy, and evidence of gold retrade or retrades, receipt or agreements. We urge all cherished customers to fully participate in this imperative exercise to achieve the desired outcome. For any further information or clarification, kindly call the following numbers. Those are the numbers on your screen: 0202 40 40 97 and the number of others. Signed by Ni Ama Tefio, Head of Communications, Men's Gold. Away from that, over 400 households in communities in the northeast region are to be affected by the construction of the PWUALUGU multipurpose dam. An ongoing environmental and impact assessment survey will determine the exact area to be affected in the region, and the victims will be consulted and involved in resettlement planning. This was disclosed following a visit Tuesday by executives of the Volta River Authority and the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, JIDA, to the overlord of Mamprogu traditional area, Nairi Nambohagu Mahami Sheriga, at his palace in the regional capital, Nararigu. The delegation was there to officially inform the chief about the project, as well as the start consultations with his top chiefs on land acquisition and resettlement process of the project. Here's the project manager, Kweku Yafi, from VRA.
We have a plan, indicative, as I may call it, but that plan has to be refined. We're looking at around 400 households within the project area. We are, as I said, we are going to do a survey that is going to physically demarcate the area by planting pillars. Then we know specifically who falls within the area. Then we'll do a census of those people, count them individually. Then we can come up with a specific number as to who, their demographics, their ethnicities, their economic activities, their properties and assets that are at stake. That is when we can be very specific as to who and who's going to be affected. In terms of how they are going to resettle, we have many examples of that in Ghana, at least as far as hydropower is concerned. We have the example of Kusubu, Pong, and Bui. So it's nothing new to us. So we are going to learn from those experiences and do even better in this particular case. So the idea now is to just identify the people, work with them to determine what they want in terms of research. We cannot do it on our own. We cannot sit in our room and plan for people. It's their lives, it's their livelihoods. It's what they. So we don't have that plan in detail, because unless you consult the people and talk to them and agree with them what they want, you can't have a plan. So that plan is going to be developed starting next year. We call it the Resettlement Action Plan, and that process is going to be very interactive and collaborative with the stakeholders, all the stakeholders. And once we get to the end, that plan will be available to everybody, because it will be definitely a public document.
Now, the regional minister Solomon Namlet and the overlord of the Mamprogu traditional area received the delegation and assured of their support for the construction.
This project is not just for the people of the Northeast region, it's not just for the people of Upper East region, it's for every Tom, Dick, and Harry in this country. Look at the solar aspect of it, that the biggest is we're going to have a 50 megawatt solar plant, the biggest in Africa. That is history for all of us. So it tells us that this is a legacy project for Ghana, and not just for the people of the Northeast region. So we can only call on you, the fourth estate of the realm, the media, to sell this project in such a way that everybody would, especially the good news, in such a way that everybody would know that indeed, at long last, we have really gotten what is expected of us, and all we ask from every Tom, Dick, and Harry now is a little bit of patience, because this project will take a long while before it's completed. The Akosombo Dam took over 7 years before it was completed. Today, it is one of, if you are talking of the assets of this country and you don't mention Akosombo Dam, then you are not a Ghanaian, or you are not even part of this country or this planet. It tells us that 7 to 8 years from now, when the PWUALUGU multipurpose dam is completed, you can comfortably call it. In fact, it goes beyond the Akosombo Dam because it is multipurpose in nature. We are going to this perennial flood that has bedeviled us for a very long time will be a thing of the past. You will not see the youth who are very skillful, ever ready, hard-working youth of northern Ghana, especially Northeast and Upper East, sitting down and wallowing in poverty. You will not see the women sitting down and wondering when the next meal will come. Everybody is really going to be very busy, and we can only thank the Almighty God for it.
I'm very happy meeting the team from VRA, and very happy with the idea that they are going to construct a multi-purpose dam. He has offered it gladly, and also has blessed them, and he is saying that they should do it because he has already identified the benefits it will bring to his people, because a multi-purpose dam has many functions. The irrigation aspect, the lighting aspect, the electricity aspect of it are all going to be beneficial, and also the employment opportunities that it will create for the people of Mamprogo. He's very grateful, and on this note, he wants to thank the President sincerely for this great venture that he is bringing to Mamprogo. He knows it is going to transform the lives of the people in Mamprogo, for which they owe thanks of gratitude to the President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Let's go back to our earlier story where the Wee Dam is being spilled. Correspondent Precious Semevo was at the spillage gate and joins us live with more. Precious, what can you report from where you are?
Yes, Daniel, as at 9 a.m. this morning, the authority started the spillage. And according to official figures, the standard level should be 183 meters above sea level. But as at 6 a.m. this morning, the level had risen up to 182.81 meters above sea level. And there was the need for them to open the spillage, the gate. 2 out of the 5 gates has been opened, and the intention is to ensure that the integrity of the dam is not, compromised. But of interest is the impact that the spillage will have on the communities. Now, from the authority, they have their men along the 46 communities downstream where they are assessing the situation. But they are saying that because of the systematic and the controlled nature of the spillage, they do not anticipate the flow, to destroy their farms, their livelihoods, and everything that they do along, the shore. So they are not anticipating any impact, but they expect the exercise to run between 1 and 10 days, depending on the rate and the inflow of the water into the reservoir. So as it stands now, the impact, according to them, will take about a day or two. That is, even if there will be any impact before the communities along the downstream, 46 of them will start feeling any impact.
Thank you very much, Precious, for joining us. And coming up in business, trade facilitation and passenger movement expected to witness an improvement at the airport. At Ministry of Aviation sets up the National Air Transport Facilitation Committee. More on that when Daryl joins us after the break.